Hello, I'm going to walk through how the Celtic Corner database is set up. Celtic Corner is a database system implemented with MySQL. The database allows users to search for and learn about seminal Celtic literature, create a list of favorite texts, and keep track of which ones they want to read next. The goal of this project is to help people find out about Celtic literature they might not have known about. It's intended to make Celtic literature more accessible by making it easier for users to find materials that might be of interest to them. That way, they are more likely to engage with and explore these texts. The database has 9 tables, 6 for storing information about text, and 3 for user-related data. In this entity relationship diagram, we can see that the database is structured around the text table. The authors, regions, and era tables store values that can be related to many texts, so they all have their own IDs, which are included in the text table as foreign IDs. Each text has a text ID of its own, as well as a title, a literary format, and a list of topics it covers. All of these attributes could potentially be used by a user in a search to find specific texts. Genre information is stored here, since a single text may belong to multiple genres, so this junction table, called text genres, allows for a many-to-many relationship. Text genre IDs, or TG IDs, are given to pairings of each text ID with its corresponding genre ID. Over here, we have the user table, which stores each user's ID, username, and password. Then the favorites table stores users' favorite texts, and the read next table stores texts that the users have added to their read next list. Let's run through some example queries to see how a user might interact with the database. Say we were the user with the username Bob Smith, and we wanted to fetch our favorites list. We can use this query, and the database shows us the titles that were previously added to our favorites list. We could also add a title to our read next list. Say we wanted to read a ballad, we could search for titles with the literary format of ballad, and that returns the Breton Lament. We can add that to our read next list with this statement. Now we can see it has been added to Bob's read next list. We could also look for titles from Ireland with unknown authors. Here are the texts for that query. Say we are interested in stories about magic, we can search for texts that have a topic with the word magic, and that returns these 2 texts. Now let's take a look at the makeup of the data currently stored in the Celtic Corner. We can see here that 50% of the texts currently stored in the Celtic Corner have unknown authors. A lot of these are traditional stories dating back several centuries that often were passed down orally before being recorded in writing. 15% of the database is text that come from various authors, and the remaining 35% are from known authors. Here we can see the amount of text in each genre, as well as the distribution of what regions these texts are from. There seems to be a good amount of variation in region for the most popular genres of poetry, mythology, and folklore, though with some concentration of poetry from Wales, folklore from Brittany, and texts from Cornwall making up the entirety of the religious genre texts. In this next diagram, we can see that the majority of the texts are from the medieval era, with early modern making up the next largest era, followed by ancient, and finally the 19th century, which Celtic Corner only has one of. This shows that there's currently a bias for medieval texts, and so I'd work on adding more ancient and 19th century texts to the system next. Here we can see what percentage of each genre is made up of texts from different regions. Again, we can see here that medieval texts are the most prominent, with it making up the entirety of these genres. We can also see that chronicles and political allegory texts all currently come from the early modern period, and wisdom literature solely coming from the ancient era. Folklore currently has the most variance in region. In our final visualization, we can see that Wales has the fewest number of distinct eras represented in the database, with only 2 eras, and Scotland has the most, with text spanning across all 4 of the eras currently included in the database. This indicates that Welsh texts from outside of the medieval period should be prioritized to be added to the Celtic Corner next, especially ones from these genres. And that concludes the presentation of Celtic Corner. Thank you.